Lions fans, welcome in. Today is Friday. It is 2 days before game day. This is the game day episode. We have waited for this episode since that bitter taste in our mouth back in January, where we lost to the unspoken team out there out west, and we'll get our revenge back later in the season. But these are the episodes that we love. Before we get into it, I'll say this. I know we're doing a Brian Branch jersey giveaway, and I was at the Detroit Lions open house last night. I might have another jersey we might be raffling off on Sunday, possibly, maybe it's in the closet right here next to me. I don't know. So before we get into it, hit that subscribe button, save yourself some time because that's going to be a requirement to get in later. Will, what are we talking today? Where are we starting with this game day episode?
Game day episode. The Rams are coming to town. Night game, prime time. I think that we should kick this thing off with, I don't even want to say the elephant in the room, but kind of old news. Matt Stafford coming back to town. We've hit it a little bit, but how do you feel about Matt Stafford and this offense rolling into Detroit?
I need his head on a stake. End of list. I need Matthew Stafford figuratively, not actually, on a stake. This is kind of becoming a war of words. I feel like the last, what are we talking, like 8 months here? With let's just go back to the last game we played them when we ended their season, and I want to go back to the Kirby Joseph hit that he put on Tyler Higbee. Ended his season. I don't even know where Tyler Higbee's at in his rehab process. But what I want to talk about is Matthew Stafford at the time got in Kirby Joseph's face and called him a dirty player. He said, "Hey, I'm paraphrasing." He goes, "Hey, that was a dirty hit. We know that you're that type of player. It's on tape." He said something along those lines. And he hasn't let it go because just a couple days ago, I saw something on Twitter where he was being interviewed by one of the Rams beat writers, and he stood on that. He said, "I'm going to stick up for my guys. If I see a dirty hit, I'm going to call it out." So he's not let it go. So this is kind of building like a little Rams and Lions rivalry, William. How do you feel about all that?
I love it, man. I hope Aiden makes him have dirty underpants.
How do you feel about the comments and him calling our guy Kirby a dirty player? Like talk about it.
Yeah, seriously, man. Like, it makes me. I already wanted Stafford to have a horrible time while he's here. I've said it before. I'm not a Stafford hater. I just don't like him when he's playing against Detroit. You know what I mean? And I don't particularly cheer for him when he's not playing Detroit. It's when he's inducted into the Ring of Honor. That's when he'll get some accolades and some clapping and some round of applause and whatever. But right now, it's just gasoline on a fire. I don't look at Kirby Joseph as a dirty player, and I don't understand why anybody would. When you're a safety and you're a slender guy that used to play receiver. When you got these guys 250 pounds barreling down on you, what am I going to go chest to chest with you? Like, what are we talking about? Not to mention, defenders are only allowed to hit you in a target area at a target time in a target situation and make split-second decisions. So I don't think they're dirty plays at all. I hate that Stafford would even, one, put it in the air, and two, act like he's really about to go toe-to-toe with anybody. Get your QB butt back to the huddle. I understand the moxie and
the safest guy in the field's the quarterback.
Absolutely. You darn near got a red jersey on during these games. So get your little butt back to that huddle, man. But you know what I love about it? Just more bulletin board material, man. More bulletin board material, more reasons for Aiden and Aline and Marcus Davenport and Josh Pascal, and the list goes on, to go out there and hunt them down, man. So hopefully we're looking at a 3, 4, 5 sack day just because he's fueled the boys and got the boys highly motivated to play on prime time.
There's something else that little Matty has said that's ruffled my feathers. It's not what he said, it's what he didn't say. So again, we're going to go back to late January. Rams season's ended. Lions are moving on. Yeah. Stafford gets up to the podium, and you can tell he's bitter. He lost a playoff game. I get it. He's a competitor. I understand all that. But someone asked a question about along the lines of him being happy for the team. He said, "I'm happy for a few guys that I played with." All his whole career, he was talking about how I've been involved with the city of Detroit. I love the city of Detroit. They have the greatest fans. I love being involved with the fans, our charity, blah blah blah, whatever it may be. He couldn't take 3 seconds and say, "I'm happy for the fans in the city of Detroit. They finally got their playoff game." And I get it. It was against you. That's kind of just it's just the way it goes sometimes, Matt. So it just kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way that he didn't even acknowledge the city of Detroit, the
Yeah.
fans. He was talking about who did he even play with that's on the team, or like Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker,
Taylor Decker.
end of list, like two guys. You
Yeah.
could have mentioned them by name
Yeah.
instead of saying, oh, a couple guys that I played with. Like it just seemed like Matt Stafford had just, I'm not turning on him. I still love everything he did in the city of Detroit, but I'm going to give an honest opinion here. This is truly how I feel. I feel like he's just the kind of guy that wants to be liked everywhere he goes. And that's just not the case in the NFL.
Steve, you hammer me for a thing all the time. And every chance you get me for it. And I'm not going to tell you that I don't do it sometimes, but I don't do it on purpose is what I'll tell you. But that thing is politicians' answers. And if you
What did
know
I answer
anything,
politically?
no, not
Oh.
you, not you. But Mr. Matthew Stafford is the absolute king. It's probably where I got it from. He's the absolute king of politicians' answers. You know, we would be losing the 15th game going on to the 16th game, and he would be like, "Hey guys, we just need to get better. It's I'm not gonna single it out to one person's fault. The team just needs to do better overall." Like he all the time he's given even when he wanted to leave Detroit. And they were talking about rumors of him wanting to get out of town or whatever. He didn't say, yeah, man, I'm frustrated. I want to get out of here. He said, yeah, it's a tough time right now. I'm not going to get into the logistics of anything or like that. I just want to focus on this team and my family right now. And like, he never does. He just say what Jared Goff does, man. I feel like Jared Goff puts it on the table sometimes. And I like that. The only thing that Jared Goff didn't put on the table that he absolutely lied about and the whole world knew he was lying was that these words right here. Yeah, this is just another football game.
Last year in the play, that's all he kept saying.
This is just another game. You know, we're just getting focused to play a good team. Get the F out of here. You know,
but after the game, he kind of hinted that, like, yeah, you know, a little bit more motivation behind that one.
Yep. And then he said he said in a press conference recently, he said, you know, the team knew that one meant a little bit more to me or whatever. But I get that aspect of it. But for the most part, man, Jared Goff puts it on the table. Hey, man, this was the situation. This is how it was when I came into it. This is where we're at now. And I'm so thankful to be in the situation right now, you know, or, hey, I got to be better. You know, I played bad or, you know what I mean? Like, or the offense needs to be better. Like, I feel like I really like that Jared Goff puts it on the table. But back to the Stafford stuff, I'll say this. Like I said, he gives politicians answers. I do agree with you. He wants to be liked wherever he is. And I don't particularly like it, man. I don't particularly like it. I don't want to hear your politicians' answers. I want to hear you say what it is, just like you did after the game. You came to Detroit to break our hearts. You're coming here to try to kick our butts. And we're coming here, or we want you to come here and leave with dirty underpants. Again, we want you to be checking under your bed. We want you to have PTSD from Aiden just hunting you down for 4 quarters like that. This is how we want you to leave. So if you come to Detroit with any other plans, your plans are about to get ruined.
Yeah, I want Stafford here, man. I want the best of the best. It makes it that much sweeter. You know, I like a little bit of friendly trash talk. Don't throw any teammates under the bus or anything like that. But he does give some answers that are just very vague. But, you know, like I said, we're going to figure it out on Sunday night who the better team is, because what I'm going to talk about next is I got to give the Rams a little credit. They drafted not just one, but my top 2 draft prospects in Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. Those were my 1 and 2 guys that I wanted on the Detroit Lions. The Rams ended up with both of them. So I'm excited to see, in a way, how they line up. I don't know if they're going to be able to replace that, like, Aaron Donald production that he had for 10 years he was with the Rams. Mm-hmm. But just getting more into the football stuff now that we're past Stafford, how do you think we match up with the Rams roster for roster?
Before I answer that question, I want to piggyback on what you just said with their draft. Did you see what Dan Campbell said about their draft?
I saw he said something about Blake Corum. He did mention, I saw him say something about Blake Corum. They were very high on him in the draft process as well.
One of the things that, because, you know, we took a lot of time, and people might not think because they think we're idiots sometimes, but we took a lot of time going through this draft process, breaking down guys, watching film on guys, and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk were super high on our boards. And we even talked about how Blake Corum probably isn't going to get drafted early, but we think that the value, if he gets drafted later, could be awesome. Dan Campbell mentioned in his press conference, I can't remember what the date was, but a few days ago, he said that the Rams drafted a lot of guys that we really liked in Detroit. So that just made me feel good from a standpoint of we're trying to pinpoint guys that aren't just good players that fit the mold of people that the Detroit Lions might be into. We're not Brad Holmes. We're not Dan Campbell. We don't get to be privy to what their bulletin list is, but those were guys that we had high, and those are guys that fit the mold, obviously. Excuse me, I'm
Are
just
you
dying on
okay?
air.
Yeah, are you all right
God,
over there?
golly. But yeah, they fit the mold of Detroit guys, right? So when you say that, that's what worries me. They're drafting guys that could fit the type of mold and be the tough, gritty style players and add to their team. I feel like Puka Nacua is a guy that fits that mold too. Cooper Kupp, he's a blue collar guy that just ever does anything you need him to do. So to that avail, I just feel like that's one thing that worries me is they're drafting guys similar to what we like.
Well, I think that's just connected to Brad Holmes and him in his Rams days. You know, him working under Les Snead, like that. Those minds have probably had a lot of talks about football and X's and O's and game plan and what type of players to draft. And
Yeah.
then I'm telling you, like Jared Verse is. I was very public. That was my number one want for the Lions. We weren't in a position to get him. Braden Fisk, probably my second want for the Lions, but I didn't think it made a lot of sense in the first round, and we weren't in a position to get him in the second. So I'm curious, like we'll never know. We'll never have this answer of were they on the Lions' radar as actual draft picks if we were in the position. And then Blake Corum, I just don't think we needed a third string running back early in the draft like the Rams do. So I just don't think he was a position in need. But the Rams offseason has been very good. And I think they got a good team. I think this is why we're on Sunday Night Football against them. They're a playoff team. They got their hands full in the NFC West with the 49ers, who are a juggernaut out there. So this is a good test for the Lions. And what do you think our weakness is when we face the Rams?
I think that this defense has to prove itself. So, and it's funny because I was just about to pose a similar question to you, but when I think about Kyron Williams was having a good season last year, that O-line was playing pretty darn good football, and they added Jonah Jackson to that O-line. Then you start talking about Blake Corum being a backup running back. You started talking about Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp being in that offense. Matthew Stafford, we know what he is. So they're going to bring an offense that's very capable of scoring points and having success. How does our defense match up? Our defense was something that I would call a weakness for us last year. But we've said in the past that Brad Holmes is a master at making or turning a weakness into a strength. So are we going to see that week one? Are we going to see a defense that has become one of the strengths of our team rather than just hold the floodgates, plug the holes, don't let too much water out, and then put this thing in Jared's hands to put up 35, 40 points and make sure that we win shootout. So that's to me, I don't know if I want to call it the weakness, but it's going to be something that I'm really looking to see. Do we have a change? Do we have momentum going in the right direction for this defense, or are we going to be in another year of watching this defense struggle?
I think more specifically, not just I think our rush defense is going to be good. And unfortunately, I have Kyron Williams on my fantasy football team, so it's kind of not good for me, but it's okay. I'd rather take a Lions win, so I don't care about that. Our rush defense is going to be okay, if not better than last year, especially if DJ Reader plays. My concern would be the Lions secondary. I know we've spent a lot of money, assets, draft capital, everything to kind of fix it, make it better. It's still unproven. They haven't meshed. They haven't had any real game time together. They didn't play any preseason games together. And then if you look at the Rams depth chart with their receiving core, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, who just won the Triple Crown of receiving just like 3 years ago. I really like Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson. Like they got some guys in the receiving room that are pretty good. And I think our secondary is it's going to be tested quite often and throughout this whole game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Do you think our secondary is going to stand up to it?
I have no doubt, man. I love what we did in our secondary. There may be some growing pains to it with us gelling together, but I don't have any worries about it. I stand on Ennis Rakestraw being a good player. I already know Amik Roberson is a good player. We know that we got a ball hawk playing on the back end now. I love the fact that we moved Brian Branch back to that safety position alongside with Kirby Joseph. I'm excited for that. Just Terry and Arnold, the list goes on, man. We have a stacked secondary. My worry is this D line, and it isn't a true worry. And I've said this, and you've mentioned it as well. Not because of one individual player. really because of Terrell Williams, man. So I just don't see a world where we don't have major impactful success defensively this year, but we don't know until they start snapping the ball and we see the evidence.
Who's your key player for this game?
Key player for this game for me would be Terry and Arnold. Because I feel like you know what you're going to get out of Carlton Davis because you can watch the film and look at the body of work and see what he's going to be. We don't know what Terry and Arnold is in the NFL. You don't know what he is as far as growing pains. You know, the lights come on. Can Cooper Kupp do some things to him that he hasn't seen? I'm interested to see what they do. Is Carlton Davis going to be shadowing Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua? What's it going to look like? How are we going to play this thing? Wow, I can't wait to see the game plan that AG has in store for us. Do you suspect that Carlton Davis is going to be shadowing Cooper Kupp?
That's a tough ask. Cooper Kupp's no joke, man. Like I said, him and Matthew Stafford, they have a rapport. You know, Triple Crown. He had like 1,800 yards, 500 touchdowns, and 300 receptions or something like that. Some crazy numbers a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl. I can see him shadowing. I think Cooper Kupp and Carlton Davis would be a good matchup. And I think you're right. If we're looking at defense, I think Terrion Arnold, if he's holding his own against Puka Nacua, I don't know where Stafford's throwing the ball. I don't know. I don't know if, you know, he got Brian Branch on another receiver. Like, I don't know where you're throwing the ball. I think the question mark is defensively Terrion Arnold. If he's a shutdown corner and Davis is a shutdown corner on the other end, like it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long season for a lot of opposing teams. And we will be talking a top 5 defense because the longer you can cover, it's given the more pass rushers a little bit more time to get there. Another half second, quarter second, like it makes a world of a difference.
Steve, there's a lot of people that hate AG, just don't like him at all. But I stand on this. If Terrion Arnold is a lockdown corner, AG is probably going to be defensive coach of the year. Period. He's going to be defensive coordinator of the year. Period. You know, because I just don't understand how it. We know what we're going to get out of Carlton Davis. If Terrion Arnold is locking people up, we know what Brian Branch is. We know that we have multiple guys that can play that interior, a nickel corner. I like our backers. We have a lot of rotational pieces on that D line. I know that DJ Reader is close to being ready. He could potentially be out there this Sunday. If not, he'll probably be out there next week. This defense is looking pretty good.
The key player for me is, I don't know if you know. Do you have any guesses on who I'm going to say, William?
Is it offense or defense?
I can't give you any hints.
My guess, well, if it's a defensive player, my guess would be Marcus Davenport.
No. See this shirt I'm wearing? See this shirt I'm wearing? This Jahmyr Gibbs shirt right here?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. I wore it for a reason. You know, I don't do anything by accident. I could have gave you an easier question and stared at me.
If you guys don't know, Steve Perkins does not believe in accidents.
I don't, except the day I was born. That was probably an accident. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I think if we're putting pressure on this Rams defense, again, as much as I love Jared Verse as a prospect or Braden Fisk as a prospect, they're not going against bums. We're talking Taylor Decker. We're talking Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, who the Ravens were really missing last night, Graham Glasgow and Penny Sewell. Like you're going to be tested. It's going to be a long day for you two boys. I don't think you're just going to come in here and waltz in and have a good day. So if Jahmyr Gibbs is getting loose, if he's getting blocks in the passing game, the running game, if this game turns into a shootout and we make the Rams one-dimensional where we know they're passing, that's when I can see the Detroit Lions defense really saying, hey, we've caught a lot of flack all last season. All off season, we've been the talk of the town. We're up 10, 13 points late in the fourth quarter. Let's go out, close the game. Jahmyr Gibbs had a monster game. I'm projecting 200 total all-purpose yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. 200 total. I think we're finally going to see that long explosive run that we were waiting for all last year. I think his longest touchdown run was like 30 yards or maybe 40. I remembered against the Tampa Bay game. I think that was his longest run of the year. But I'm talking like, I think we're getting a 70-pluser out of Jahmyr tomorrow or Sunday night. I think he's going to get loose. I think he's going to have 200 all-purpose yards. I think he's going to take over the game. Jared Goff just going to sit there, hand him the ball, flick him the ball, and he's just going to do what he does.
Steve, I like it, but I got to tell you, you're wrong, man.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong on my prediction of the future.
You are. You're wrong because this game has already been played and the stats are already out. And this game offensively has one key player in it. Everyone knows it, and that is J-Mo. J-Mo
Hey,
is going off.
I'd love to see that as well.
J-Mo is about to arrive to the NFL. He is going to, I predict, have a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, and he is going to be a focal point for this offense. We're going to see that him and Jared Goff has finally learned how to play together. Jared Goff knows that he's got to get the ball out of his hands a little bit earlier because otherwise J-Mo will outrun his arm. The timing is there. Training camp, they said that he was running oftentimes wide open because of his speed. I think that we're going to see J-Mo arrive as one of the top receivers in the NFL. And I stand on this year. We will finish this season with J-Mo. More yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown and more touchdowns than Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Amon-Ra St. Brown will drown him in receptions. That's what I see for this season. I think there's a reason why we didn't panic and try to trade for a bigger name receiver. Ben knows that he has a star alongside of his other star in Amon-Ra.
When I look at once we get into like the depth chart and we've talked about that, some of the injury reports, I think the Lions are going into this game, and I know it's week 1. We're going into this game healthy. I think the Rams are on the other end of the spectrum where they're a little banged up. I saw they just lost, I don't know for how long, but I don't think he's playing against us. Kobe Durant, their starting cornerback, is probably out for the game. And while we're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo, like, okay, hey, well, their depth's already being tested. Like, they got a solid D line, but when I look at their secondary, Kobe Durant and Tre'Davious White, there's 2 starting corners. They don't scare me. I don't know how one of them's going to body up Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then how you're going to be bringing in a backup to cover J-Mo, Sam Laporta. Like, I don't think the Rams are coming into this game fully loaded. They're kind of banged up, and I think you mentioned Jonah Jackson. I think he out for the game. If I saw something, I'm looking at the injury report right here in front of me, and it says that he practiced Wednesday full practice, Thursday full practice. But I could have swore I saw something that he was injured and banged up. Am I mistaken? Do you know anything?
I didn't see that, but it would be per his MO. Yeah, that's what he does. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But either way it goes, I don't think that he has a fighting chance for what's coming for him. He better hope that DJ Reader's not out there is what he better hope.
Speaking of DJ Reader, I saw a press conference today from Dan and said that it sounds like DJ's going to play on Sunday.
Yeah, I heard that there's a big time potential that he could be out there, but from what I saw, I heard it was a game time decision. It was trending towards. I don't know. Either way, I like it because even if he's not out there, the Rams can run the football. I don't want to make it like they can't run the football, but Kyren Williams isn't a guy that I'm worried about just pounding the rock at us. Now, Coral, I think he's a guy that could do that, but I don't think that his first game he's going to be that guy either. So I don't think that we necessarily need DJ Reader to have an effective run game or run stopping game. So either way that it goes, I'm not worried.
If there's one thing I don't want to see, it's a Blake Corum touchdown. I don't. He's dead to me. We've moved on. Bygones are bygones. Thank you for helping us win a national championship. You're now the enemy. I don't want to see you scoring touchdowns at Ford Field. Period. Ever. End of story. Final question. Your least favorite part that I ask you every game day. Give me a prediction.
I will go with, gosh, I should have prepared for this because I know it's coming. I think that we're going to see something special. I'm going to go with the extreme. I'm going to go with the Lions 35. I'm going to go with the Rams 17.
35-7. We double them up. Double up the score.
Blasting the Rams. Blasting.
William,
talk to me.
This is a statement game. Lions come into this game as Super Bowl favorites, 4th best odds. rivalry game. Jared Goff still got something to prove. NFC Championship game hasn't set well with me. I can't imagine it set well with them. Primetime game, home field. We talk about Ford Field. Dan Campbell hinted in his press conference. I've caught whatever you've given it to me telepathically through this microphone. Dan Campbell has hinted that Ford Field is now a home field advantage place, that it affects teams. And I saw that firsthand. Well, not firsthand, but watching on TV, and you saw it firsthand at that preseason game where we're creating false starts. And I get it. Those were like third stringers when all that happened. But this is going to be a madhouse Sunday night. And if you let the Detroit Lions get out to a big lead, I'm talking like 17-3 at halftime, and we take a little break, we hit the bathroom, catch a couple beers, come back to the seats, round them up again in the second half, and we just take them out to the shed and give them a good old-fashioned whooping, because that's what Matthew Stafford needs. He's spoken out of line. He needs a whooping. So daddy's got to bring the hand down on that cheek. That's what's got to happen this game. 42-13 Lions. Statement game. It's going to be a Ford Field celebration. There's just going to happen to be a football game going on at the same time, William.
I like it.
End of story. Guys, drop your comments below. Leave your game predictions. We covered a lot. 25-minute show. That's usually about how long our game day stuff run. We talk about everything from last season to what's happening right now. Lions, Rams, kind of a rivalry game. Leave it in the comments. Drop your guesses for the game. Hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.